Hey Duck fans, Kurt here. Welcome to yet another FishDuck One-on-One. Well, we have a very special guest this week. From local Oregon kid to walk-on at the University of Oregon to starter to Super Bowl champion, Jed Weaver's football career is the type of story that Disney often makes movies out of. Coming from Redmond, Oregon as a talented football and baseball star to walk on at Oregon, he worked his way up to a starter and was then drafted into the NFL, where he played 6 seasons, culminating in a Super Bowl victory in 2005 with the New England Patriots. His brother Dan Weaver also played at Oregon from 2000 to 2003, starting 37 games at center. And yes, Jed and Dan are both related to Major League Baseball pitchers Jared and Jeff Weaver. It's quite an athletic family. He has quite an interesting story. So, Jed Weaver, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Well, let's get started back from growing up in Oregon. You were from the Bend, Redmond area, and you were both a all-state football player and pitcher. But what made you decide to come to Oregon in that, at the time, Oregon in the mid-90s did not have a baseball program?
I think just myself, I like the contact of playing football. I like being on offense and tight end and getting a chance to run, catch the ball, and also, be able to get after guys blocking and doing that. I think at the end of the day, my dad was a really good football player. He actually got a scholarship to University of Oregon in 1970, but he was only there for about 5 weeks. They moved him from linebacker to defensive lineman. He didn't like that, and he went home and rode motorcycles for a while and before he moved to Oregon. So, I think part of it was my dad's history as a football player. And I just really I thought that I had more opportunity playing football in college and than baseball. And, all things being equal, I wasn't going to get money from any school. And, smaller schools wanted me to go there, but I knew that ultimately I wanted to try to play in the NFL. And if I had that chance, I wanted to. Oregon was just the same as Western Oregon, in Monmouth, or Eastern Oregon and LeGrand. So if I was paying for school, I wanted to have the opportunity at Oregon and the D1 level. And when you're the young guy, you're the walk-on. I had a chip on my shoulder like I would think most walk-ons. You just try to do what you can to raise your game, and you have to learn from what those guys are doing, because obviously when they've been recruited and they have scholarships and the school's paying for their school, they're not getting a free ride, but they're in your mind they might have more of an opportunity or they might have a leg up. So you're going to try to follow what they're doing and learn from where they're coming from. It's hard when you're a walk-on and it's that much work. And sometimes you feel like you're not going to get the opportunity or you're not getting the opportunity you deserve. But ultimately in competition and in sport, you're going to get an opportunity. And it's the guys that put themselves in that situation in their mind mentally and work for that opportunity. When it comes, they take advantage of it. And if you're out there making plays and doing positive things for the team, the coaches can't deny you being out there.
Was that recognizable to the team how much of a difference things had changed in Oregon from when you came in '94 to when you left after '98?
Yeah, I think so. I always tell people we didn't even have all of our stuff wasn't even Nike in '94 when we played. We had Nike shoes and Nike gloves were still pretty new then. We had wristbands and elbow pads and stuff that weren't even Nike. And we used to have to walk across the street to the practice field, and in your cleats you're drudging across the street, and then they changed part of the parking lot into the new field, and then the Mashofsky Center came in. I remember sitting in a meeting with the tight ends, and the Coach Osborne comes down to the meeting late, and we're busting on him. Oh, you're late, 6:30. You got to run with Coach Rad. Oh, punishment, And he was just blown away. He said he saw the coolest thing he's ever seen in his life, and he saw Phil Knight write a check for the new jumbotron in the stadium. He used to just be an animated, lighted up duck.
I remember it. Yeah.
Running for a first down. And so and then. Obviously, the facilities when I was there were amazing. I get drafted by the Eagles. I go to Philadelphia. We're in the basement of Veterans Stadium every single day in this little tiny crappy locker room, walking across the street. There's a big sign on the wall that says, "Watch out for Cushman trucks," because the O-lineman got hit the year before and blew out his knee and ran him over. And we're going out to the practice field and it's just terrible. We're going into Veterans Stadium. We called it carpet on concrete,
Yeah.
And the checks every month were a lot bigger and better in the NFL and in Philly than my scholarship check at Oregon, but the facilities were in the gutter compared to Oregon.
Do you have a particular favorite game or favorite moment from your time as an Oregon Duck?
My whole senior year was just so amazing just because, I got that opportunity to be the starter. Akili really took over in that first game against Michigan State. It was just so much fun to play with that group of guys. All of our linemen had been there. We all came in together pretty much. And, it was fun to go out on offense. It's great when the quarterback calls the play in the huddle and you just know that it's going to be a big play. Everyone's working together and good things are going to happen. And, that year playing down in UCLA, we lost the game. And, that was a devastating loss. Ruben breaks his leg. But that was the first time ever in the history of college football that College Game Day was on the West Coast. It was always on the East Coast. And, I think that's part of what really changed the tide for Oregon football and put it on the national stage also. And, but, we go up to Washington State in '96 and we're just getting annihilated, but, which gave me as the third tight end some burn in the game. And I caught a touchdown from Ryan Perry-Smith. My very first catch as a Duck was a touchdown. That was great. It was a quiet plane trip home, but I had a smile on my face. One of my vivid memories always is at the home games, because the year in '93, Coach Brooks didn't dress down the red shirts, but I guess some of them were messing around in the stands and not paying attention to the game and doing whatever. So he made sure that everyone dressed down in '94. Well, I'm not staying in the hotel, so we're just doing like any freshman. We're hanging out late and going out and doing whatever. And every Saturday morning, because we had so many tight ends, I had to go in the line with the offensive lineman, and there's Steve Harden, 350 pounds, sweaty, spit all over the place, and I got to be, we're doing get off, okay, just fit up on the guy and block him, and there I am, tired and whatever from the night before, and here's Steve Harden spitting and sweating all over me. His gloves smell like death, and it's just like, football, but McKinney Wheaton pick, the fans go crazy. That was just unbelievable. We're all standing on the sideline going, they're just going to give the ball to Kaufman every single play, and they did until that pass, and there he goes, picks it off and goes for a touchdown, and we're all standing on the sideline going, why didn't they just give it to Kaufman? So
Right.
Every single time he got 8 yards, 9 yards, and but that whole season was just unbelievable. And then to go to the Rose Bowl and 105,000, 102,000, it's and for the program to be where it is now after seeing that, we played in the Rose Bowl and then the Cotton Bowl the next year, two January 1st bowl games in a row. That had never happened in the history of Oregon before, so it was, it's great to be a part of that time in Oregon football history.
There's some names that are kind of royalty around Oregon. There were 4 Wilcoxes that put on Duck uniforms. There were 4 Wins, 3 Malapeis that you played with, a few Harringtons, a few Johnsons, and the Weaver family has some connections. Your dad played very briefly. You were there from '94 through '98, and your brother Dan followed you to Oregon, played from 2000 to 2003. Dan was a center and started 37 games, remarkable career for him. And he played in the 2001 season. And Duck fans will always look at '94, '98, and 2001 as 3 landmark years in Oregon history. '94 for when everything started to change. '98 for the potential of that season. That team was so good, and unfortunately injuries derailed it, kind of like 2007. And then 2001, it finally culminated with a BCS victory. There has to be times where Dan having 2001, you having 1998, where there's family clashes and arguments about which team was better, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's I would have liked our offense to line up against their defense, and I think that it's always great to have those arguments, and you can never put it out on the field and see what would have happened. It was great to watch Dan play. it's kind of funny because the one game that I was able to go to that season, we had a bye week at when I was on the Dolphins, and we fly all the way back to Eugene, and it's the Stanford game. They get beat, and they definitely shouldn't have lost that game. So that was kind of disappointing. And then I had to come back to Miami and hear about the Hurricanes all the rest of the season and the national championship here. And I'm like every other Duck fan. I wish they would have had a chance to play the Hurricanes and see how the athleticism would have matched up, because Nebraska or Colorado, neither one of them matched up to the athleticism from both of those teams. So it was, but Dan's got 2 Pac-10 championship rings and a Rose Bowl or a Fiesta Bowl champion ring, number 2 in the country. And his ring box is definitely, he doesn't have a Rose Bowl ring, but, his ring box, he doesn't have a Super Bowl ring in his ring box either, but he's got some good ones in there, that's for sure. We had a pro-style offense then that, really catered to the tight end. I think that part of that was because the tight ends were so good when we were there, and those opportunities, they wanted to create opportunities for those players to get the ball and create things on offense. But, it gave me confidence to know that you're coming from a pedigree, and teams will probably look at this school and see what the tight end's doing, and anything, you just want to get an opportunity. I wouldn't have it any other way. I always tell people 6 years in the NFL, 0 surgeries, and 1 Super Bowl ring. I haven't met anyone that can say all 3 of those things in one sentence. I'm just, I really, truly feel blessed. I definitely wish I was still playing in the league because I enjoyed every minute of it. But would I trade another year in the NFL for a blown out knee or, a neck injury or something? Absolutely not. You knock on wood and thank the good Lord for those things. And, having a Super Bowl ring definitely is a conversation starter. That's for sure.
Did you ever play with or against any Huskies or Beavers?
Anytime there was always Pac-10 bets, we'd be betting on the game, not a ton of money or anything, but, bragging rights more than anything. And then, I played with Damon Huard, and so we were always talking trash about the Huskies, and the pick and stuff, and he didn't ever want to hear it. And then, actually, I didn't even play against him, but Savvy Piscatelli, he played safety for the Beavers. He's still playing. I think he's in St. Louis now, but I was playing in a charity golf tournament, and he's, driving around yelling, "Go Beavers," all over the golf course. He was hurt or something, so he wasn't playing golf. He's just driving around because he's local from down here, from Boca and stuff, and it's like, dude, they got lucky the year they beat us my senior year up there in the triple overtime game. Our defense just didn't show up for that one. But, that was probably, for me personally, one of my funnest games, just because every time we'd go to the line of scrimmage, the linebackers yelling out, "They're throwing it to 81, they're throwing it to Weaver." And every time I would just catch the ball every single play, it doesn't matter. You're calling it out, try to stop it, And Keely's like, "Yeah, I'm throwing it to you, bro. They blitz, I'm throwing it to you." And it's like, dude, you guys are just hoping to hold a candle to Oregon. That's all you have to say to a Beaver. You just wish you went to Oregon. You wish you were good enough that you got recruited to Oregon.
After your 6 years in the NFL, where are you now, and what are you doing these days?
We stayed at our house that we had in South Florida, Pembroke Pines. It's just west of Fort Lauderdale, out west a little bit, and I do real estate now. My wife actually played soccer at Oregon when we were there, and she was a year younger than me, but she was on that very first women's soccer team at Oregon.
Jed Weaver, I just want to say thank you for being a Duck. Thank you for carrying on through the pros the way that you did, showing your Duck pride, your love throughout, and as to your brother as well, secondhand, Dan Weaver. Thank you to him for being a Duck, and thank you for joining the FishDuck One-on-One.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And, it's fans like you and everyone else out there that makes it such a great experience. So, go Ducks always.
Go Ducks.